Buying crypto and Bitcoin can be risky if you do it at the wrong time. And especially when it comes to altcoins, timing is everything. But I'm here to tell you that he who does not buy the dip does not deserve the rip. And I have a couple signals that are setting up that always tell me the perfect time to back up the truck on altcoins that are getting very near triggering. So on this video, I'm going to go over Bitcoin's general position right now, some of the signals that are underlying on Bitcoin's price metrics that are telling me that the time to hammer in on altcoins is getting near. Now, there are many altcoins that are likely to die over the next year or two here, but there are also within that spectrum other side of the equation where altcoins are setting up strong revenue metrics. They're looking solid even in a bear market, and these are the ones that I'm interested in. I'm interested in what you're looking at as well. So also let me know down in the comments what altcoins you're most interested in picking up. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, Bitcoin has had a hell of a ride to the downside. It has fallen by right around 50%, 51% to be precise, from that local peak at 125K. Now, this situation is a tale of two cities. There are many people that, rightfully so, are highlighting the current structure of Bitcoin as a potential bear flag, looking at targets down in the 40K region. And that would be a very terrifying situation for many of the fair weather friends that are only here for the up only season and simply cannot imagine lower prices happening to Bitcoin. But I have some nuance within this price action that I must highlight. So with that being said, our current situation is as follows. Bitcoin has broken down from the 96K mark where we kidnapped Maduro and saw Bitcoin play out that bear flag down to the low of $60,000. Now, since that low of $60,000 was accomplished on Bitcoin's price, the money flow has started to look pretty juicy. We see that the money flow, if I zoom in here, is just barely peeking its little head into the green, and juice looks like it's coming back to the markets. The average person would look at this and be like, all right, it's time to back up the truck, but not so fast, sucker. We got to look at some key things that happened to Bitcoin in the last bear market, and I use these metrics to know exactly when it was time to hammer into altcoins for those nasty, nasty gains. Our current situation is as follows. We hit a negative 75 on the momentum wave. We have double green dots, which is absolutely delicious looking for Bitcoin. And in the previous bear market, we actually had something very similar play out, where we had that initial momentum wave hit to the downside, print a green dot, give us a little bit of short-term hope. But the linchpin here is that moment was actually the previous bear flag that did end up playing out, cascade to the downside and hit a low of $17,200. What followed that bear flag playing out to the downside was an even deeper momentum wave, printing a double green dot shown here. Now, what I did last bear market was wait for the flush out. And obviously I was interested in buying Bitcoin through this entire range, all the way from $25,000 down to 15. I was buying this entire range and don't regret it one bit. But the key here is that I was only interested in buying Bitcoin spot during that initial phase of the bear market. When to buy altcoins is a very delicate situation. And what I did is wait for a bullish divergence to happen on the momentum waves. Wait for that secondary wave to come down on the Bitcoin momentum and print that green dot, showing me a general nasty tide to the upside. Now, Bitcoin's current situation is highly intriguing and rhymes very closely to the bear market of yesteryear. If you look very closely, you'll see the bear flag played out, and now we're working on a channel that is working its way back up to old school resistance spots here in the low $80,000 region. But it's not all tacos and belly dancers out here, folks. There are things happening within the altcoin sector that might be signaling a major washout for altcoins still to come. DeFi giant Aave is bleeding TVL right now. When the fiasco with Kelp DAO kicked off, Aave's TVL was sitting right at around $26 billion. As of the time of this recording, we're at $14 billion, a major pullback for TVL in crypto's biggest lending protocol. So yeah, as you can tell from the shirt that I'm wearing, we're partying right now, but that doesn't leave a potential for one more nasty flush out, just like that final flush out that we experienced when FTX went under in the depths of the bear market. Now, this candle, when FTX kicked off, measures about 25% from its local high to low on that weekly time frame. Now, if we look at our current situation, If we continue to tap this top end of the range, but then experience a major washout from some sort of DeFi capitulation, a 25% downside candle on the weekly would bring us right smack dab back to the $60,000 level. If that were to occur, that would cause the momentum wave that's currently moving up to swoop back to the downside. Then we find that moment that I'm actually predicting here on this show. I'm risking it for the biscuit, saying that this momentum wave, this third and final momentum wave to the downside, would end up printing a bullish divergence on these momentum waves. The price would look real scary to people. There would be a lot of people calling for the 40s if something like that were to occur. But then you find that it's created a double bottom and we are actually off to the races. Now, this is exactly what I'm looking for to know when it's time to back up the truck on altcoins. And if I'm comparing these two cycles to each other in a way that rhymes, this actually looks like it could play out sometime around August or September of 2026. And even though there's turbulence within DeFi and altcoins, I don't think that DeFi is dead, nor do I think that lending is dead. I think it's in a turbulent moment that's going to have some flush outs, have some FUD, and then they will be able to robustly fix the infrastructure to move forward with the next cycle. Buying altcoins is a very high risk, high reward scenario, and you got to make sure that you're looking at the right protocols that have good revenue and strong tokenomics so that you don't end up getting rugged. As we have seen in the past with crypto, even the giants can fall. And what we're seeing right now is definitely shaky ground and a slight earthquake that could cascade into a bigger event. With all this information, I am staying focused, not getting too ahead of myself, and waiting for a double confirmation of a weaker momentum wave to the downside to print that bullish divergence. And that's when the moment comes where I can back up the truck comfortably on my favorite altcoins, getting ready for the nasty bull market to come. I've used this same process for a few cycles in crypto, and honestly, it's played out pretty perfectly. You can see that even in the 2017 down to the 2018 lows, we had a nasty pullback on the momentum wave, but then followed up by a secondary momentum wave during COVID that created that same bull div scenario. This is a tried and true signal. Shout out to CryptoFace for making such a powerful tool for us crypto degens to use. Now, if you are actively trading the current range that we're in, make sure to join our Discord, get all the signal calls, and stay tuned because we have some major infrastructural upgrades coming to our trading group. And if you're someone that's ready for the big leagues, you've been making these calls from the sidelines and wanting to get your skin in the game, we also have a great option with Klein Funding where you can spend like $55 and get an evaluation, pass the evaluation, and get a $5,000 funded trading account to get the ball rolling. Bitcoin is relatively cheap. People that loved Bitcoin at $126,000 should be over the moon that we're now working at half price. The adoption hasn't stopped. The use case hasn't stopped. It's simply people are short-sighted and cannot handle when things don't go their way immediately. But this is where diamonds are forged. This is where the savages buy the dip and ride it to Valhalla. Let me know if you're actively buying in this environment or if you're waiting for new extreme lows down in the comments below, and I will see you on the next episode. See you in Vegas.